Amstrad model 8060 twin cassette radio record player. Back from the 80s. And being Amstrad, it's all plastic, it's all cheap, it's all a bit nasty, but it's has survived. I mean, you know, this is back in the early 80s, I believe. Oval speakers, novel I suppose at the time, but and a tweeter up there, and the same on this side. Very simple. FM tuning, medium wave, long wave. Not really a lot of use these days, but the unit's it's in not too bad a condition, to be honest. I bought it spares and repairs, and the main reason being is that the main power button does nothing, as you can see by the LED there. It's not going on or off. This cassette deck doesn't work. If I press play, just makes a nice buzzy noise. Could just be a belt there, I don't know. The cassette doors are still in place. They're a little bit flimsy. I'm really quite surprised. They probably haven't been used, but there is a nice cigarette burn on it there. Somebody left their Benson edges on there while it's been playing at a party, no doubt, or something. The cassette on this side does actually work. There. Mostly tape and play. Sorry. Put a bit of volume into it.
So take me back to London.
The graphics lights are working, and that's the other thing. The volume pot is extremely noisy. Oh, probably do that with a bit of cleaning. The rest of the pots don't seem too bad. They're okay. The rest of the buttons are working okay for functionality. It's just purely the on-off power button doesn't work, it doesn't do anything. Stop on that. And the other main reason why it was sold as spares repairs is this party trick. It's got a record player in it. It doesn't work. This selector switch here, which selects on, off, 45, doesn't work. Move, to be honest, it's jam solid. So that's going to have to come off and be looked at. There's no cartridge which holds the needle, so I've had to order one of those if I switch it to phono. But I think it does work, because if I introduce a little bit of mains hum, left and right channels, which is green and black, you can hear the buzz on the speakers. So that part's working. It's just purely there's no drive from the belt. I've got to take this apart and have a look at that. The arm isn't controlled other than by lifting it with your hand and dropping it back down. I mean, I've got this cue control thing here. You can move it across, put it where you want it, and just drop it up and down manually. So it's all very, very, very cheap plastic. But at the time, back in the 80s, I suppose this was manufactured just as vinyl was probably about dying, really, and Amstrad, in their wisdom, probably sold a lot of units, which are probably all in the scrap heap by now. So that's the main faults with the unit. We've got, just summarise, this doesn't work, it doesn't spin, it feels like there's a belt in there, so there's a bit of friction there, so that's okay. But the main power button doesn't work, this cassette mechanism doesn't work, scratching on the pot, and really that's about it, really. So there's not a lot wrong with it. The two FM antennas are a little bit rough and probably could do with replacing. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you're looking for a bit of retro old equipment, it would probably do the job. Not a lot on the back of the unit. We've got the carry handle, which is a little bit floppy, to be honest. I don't know whether there's supposed to be a spring on that or something, but two antennas, which both look like they need replacing. Quite a few dents in those. We've got the battery compartment down here. You can't plug in external speakers, so we've got left and right, battery, external. I can't quite read that, but internal mains, and a power supply point here. Battery inside there isn't too bad, but you can see the original collar compared to this, so we'll have to do something about that. So this one here is just to stir the cable away, and that's roughly it for this unit. Main label, normal warnings, but it's got a, I don't know whether to spray the back of this or what, but we will get it apart at some point because we need to look at that power supply switch. To get this top off, there's just 4 screws here, which we just need to remove. We should be able to then lift the lid up. I think that screw, that one's broke. Push it back in there. So we just lift it, not quite. Okay, we can now lift him and turn him over. And that's all that's in there basically. It's very cheap, very nasty, very Amstrad. But in the 80s, it was probably the bee's knees. Okay, we'll have a quick look. We've got the main motor here. There is a belt on there. I can see the belt, so that's on there, okay. This is the control board, which is located just here. It looks like somebody's done some soldering on it at some point, so somebody has actually been inside this. I need to take that switch off and clean it out, so we'll do that first. I think we'll get this board off, have a quick look at it from the other side, and then I'll get the switch off, we'll clean that switch out, and then we'll start checking some of the components. To remove this board, there's just 4 screws. Okay, if we lift him out carefully, we can see the board there. It definitely looks like somebody's been in there before me because they've put some writing on some of the components. Okay, so this is a switch we need to remove. This part of the circuit over this side looks like the preamp section from the phono pickup. This part's the motor control circuit, and this basically switches the motor on, or it selects 33 or 45. So the first thing I want to do is check that. Well, we'll take that off and give that a good clean. As usual, camcorder died at some point. I took the switch off. I bent the levers on the bottom so I could get the PC, the small circuit board with the gold contacts on it off. Clean the gold contacts with a little bit of isopropanol, like 1200 grit paper. Put it all back together, cleaned it, and the switch is working fine now, so we can now select 33 or 45, and it's got a nice little click to it. I've checked the capacitors and some of the other components on the board. There's an inlight choke there, check that. The only thing we need to do is check this fusible resistor. Now, it's supposed to read 22 ohms. Let's have a look. Okay, let's get that resistor off, or fusible resistor as it's known. Just take one of the legs off for now. And drop the meter across it. About 30k ohms. Which I don't think's quite right. So that needs changing. So it's a 22 ohm fusible resistor. I think before though we just change that, we'll test the motor and make sure that's not faulty. We'll just put a DC voltage on that, around about 2 or 3 volts, and just see what happens. So I've got the external power supply set to about 2 volts. And what we're going to do is just take one of the wires off this motor and just see if we can get it to spin. Hopefully it's not twisted on. Okay, so we've got that off. And let's just drop now some voltage across it. We'll just see what it does. I don't know if you can see that, but that's actually turning the motor, and it's drawing about 40 milliamps. So the motor's not faulty. So we've proved the motor's okay. Next thing to do then is to replace that 22 ohm resistor, and hopefully that should cure the problem. Now fortunately we do have somewhere around here, probably slightly a little bigger wattage, some fusible resistors, so we'll get one of those fitted. I've taken off the fusible resistor, 22 ohm. I've taken the sleeve off the legs as well, and we've just soldered it in place of where the original was, and put the sleeved legs back on. Let's turn some power back on this unit. We'll give it a try. Select phone now, and on the switch on the front let's select, and that seems to be working now. So it looks like we've got that actually working. Try the other one. Yep, that's a lot faster. I'll leave that running for a little bit. That seems to be okay. But what I did find on the circuit diagram, which is a snippet of the circuit diagram for it, and this is your motor control. There's your fusible resistor. This is the selector switch, and there's a couple of resistors and pots for altering the value of the speed of the motor. But I redrawed it out because it didn't seem quite right to me when I looked at it. And there's a couple of extra resistors on this board, which from the selector switch to the two VRs to control the speed, and also this extra resistor here, which weren't on the original circuit diagram, and that's the fusible resistor that we've changed. The choke, the coil, whatever you want to call it, was fine. Checked all the capacitors. Can't really test this device other than replacing it really. I mean, you could test it for shorts, but it seemed fine to me. And that's your pin-out configuration for it. So there are a couple of slight differences, and the variation on this board, or the model number. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to put this all back together. No, just switched off. So I'm going to put this side back together. Unfortunately, I've got a broken pin on one of the mounting lugs, which is just here, which is actually just there, inside there. It's actually broken off, so I'm going to have to get a small drill or something and see if I can reverse spin out that, and I might have to machine up a new one of these on my lathe. I've tried looking around on eBay and places like that, and I haven't seen anything similar to it, so I might have to just machine something up. Okay, let's get this thing put back together. It's just 4 screws. Okay, so that's back together. This is where we adjust the 45 and the 33. There's a power supply coming in on this pin here, through the fusible resistor, and then through the control circuit for the motor. And then this side of the board is just purely for the needle pickup, and these are very fine little wires for that. So I just need to make sure they're not tangled or caught on anything. And I'll solder those onto I'll put new crimps on and solder those to a new cartridge body. I still haven't worked out how to get to this belt yet. I don't know if you take this off, or I don't know. I mean, it is actually playing at the moment, so I'm not that fussed about the belt. I've managed to fix this broken lug. Basically I drilled a very small drill into the centre of it, and I was able then to pull out the original insert. Managed to create a replacement screw. Effectively I just put it in the lathe, faced it off, drilled a 2mm hole, tapped it out to 2.5, got a 2.5 screw, screwed it in, and then just Loctited it. And that now, it should be okay now for the repair. Well, things probably never went quite to plan. The cartridge I bought was a moving magnet or moving coil. I think it's moving magnet, and it's not compatible with this. Needs a ceramic cartridge, which but for the 80s, I suppose, Amstrad wanted to get cheap, and that's what they got. And obviously I've sort of destroyed this one a little bit really by soldering the legs on it, because all the terminals on the end of this lead wire had all broken off. So I've decided to buy new lead wires with the proper terminal pins on. I bought a ceramic cartridge, so it was a quick dismantle really. I mean, it's only 2 screws that hold this piece on, nothing fancy about it. That's the swing arm part, and that's just held on with that small little pin there. It's just 2 screws there, one either side. Take those off and you can lift the whole arm out. Obviously you need to desolder these wires from the printed circuit board that's inside there, but yeah, it's no problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run new wires. I'm going to put a new ceramic cartridge in, run complete new wires, and hopefully we can then get it up and running. Let's see what happens. The new ceramic cartridge has arrived, and the wires, and I'm just slowly running them down the loom here and out there, which will then go down through this part and back to the main PCB. Still haven't worked out how I'm going to mount this yet. I might just try gluing it on there for now. Just try it anyway. I don't think it's the answer, but I couldn't actually find a ceramic cartridge with 2 lugs to mount it on, so I'll just glue it on for now, a bit of double-sided tape. We can at least try it anyway. So, and all I've got to do is then feed that back through here and solder it onto these 4 connections. Obviously putting all this part back together as well. It's only a couple of screws with that there, so it's not a major problem. And that's the label for the cartridge I bought. Well, let's put it all back together and then we'll give it a test, I think. Well, we've put the tone arm back together. It's a very simple process. It's very easy to do. It's only 2 screws holding together and a small pin just for the pivot. And there's this little thing on the back here that I'll put a little marker there just so I know it lined up okay. And all I've got to do now is solder them 4 wires on, which is from the pickup. So let's do that. We'll then spin it over, we'll give it a try, and hopefully it will make some noise. We'll put the unit back together. I haven't screwed it down yet because I've still got to do some adjustments for the speed and stuff. Well, I presume I have, I'm not sure yet. The cartridge is in place. I've just put a little bit of double-sided tape on it for now. It might need adjusting down. It might be a little bit too steep at the angle it's at the moment. But I do need to weigh. There's a little adjustment on the back of the unit here where you can move a small weight just to change the pickup weight on there. Let's give it a try. That's all we can do. We'll select phone now. That's in the off position. And we just happen to have a bit of now 10. Let's give it a try. Got to do the old blow. Let's see if this works. Started off at 33. That's always a good sign. Let's randomly pick a spot. Oh, okay, so we can hear something from left and right speakers. Put a little bit more volume in it. Yep, we've got left and right. It's definitely playing slow. I can hear that. But yeah, so don't buy a magnetic pickup or cord pickup head for this unit. It's the old ceramic only, which cheap, nasty, wear your records out, and the weight on the head's got to be quite critical. Well, that concludes part 1. In part 2, we're going to have a look at sorting out this power switch and why this cassette player isn't working. So I'll do that in part 2, a full dismantle. I still wanted to get this deck off. I'm still not sure how you do that yet. I think I want to change the belt. I don't know how long it's been on there for, so it's just very hard to find any parts for this. It seems to be, I've found the service manual, but that's about all I can find. I can't find any disassembly instructions, the original owner's manual. I can't find anything on the internet. So hopefully we'll get it apart in the next few days, get some belts ordered for this cassette, or at least measure them and maximal power. Bought a sort of belt kit, which hopefully there might be something in there that's suitable, and we'll get it up and running 100% hopefully.